What's up, everyone? And today I'm bringing a deck profile on my B.E.S deck. Now, B.E.S, I don't know what B.E.S stand for, but just a heads up, it's not a good deck. It's very gimmicky and not in a good way. The field spell is good, but that's really about it. Honestly, I just threw in a bunch of engines just to make something. As you see, I run Vert to Anaconda, so I can run Dragoon. I also run an invoked engine in this as well. Now, before we get into the deck profile, I'd just like to mention to subscribe, because less than 9% of the people watching this video, actually more than 9% of the people watching this video, are not subscribed. So let's fix that. Without further ado, let's get right into the deck profile. First off, I run the 3 B.E.S Blaster Cannon Core. Now, Blaster Cannon Core, if your opponent controls a monster, then you can special summon this card from your hand. Then you can only special summon B.E.S Blaster Cannon Core once per turn this way. If this card is normal, special summon plays 3 counters on this card. Cannot be destroyed by battle. And at the end of the damage step, if this card battles, remove 1 counter from this card. If you cannot, destroy it. Yeah, that's how B.E.S functions. You put counters on the card, and when it runs out of counters, they destroy themselves. Not exactly the best of gimmicks. So if they battle too much, they don't stick around, which is kind of sad. It's deck has pretty cool artwork. Next, I run B.E.S Big Core MK3. If your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. This card is no more special summon. Place 3 counters on this card. Of course, like a Cannon Core, every time it battles, it loses the counters, and if not, it destroys itself. Next, I run 3 B.E.S Crystal Core. In my opinion, this is the worst of them, because you only gain that effect if you normal summon them. But then again, the boss rush prevents you from normal summoning, so it's kind of a conflict in the own deck. Like, you want to summon Crystal Core normally, but with the main card, Boss Rush, you can't even normal summon. I'll get into that in a bit. Next, I run 2 B.E.S Tetran. This one's not quite as bad. Whenever a counter is removed from it, it destroys a spell trap, so at least that one has something working for it. Next, I also run the 1 Covered Core, which is the same as a Crystal Core, pretty much. Almost the exact same effect. Next, I run 3 All-Star the Invoked. Honestly, the only way you want to bring out the B.E.S monsters is by special summoning them off the field spell, so you don't normal summon this deck. Like, yes, you want to normal summon Covered Core and Crystal Core, but I'd rather go for the Invoked engine. At least that can get me some negates. Of course, I run the 1 Dark Magician and the 1 Red-Eyed Black Dragon. I run some hand traps along with it. The 3 Ash Blossom, the 3 Gamma, the 1 Driver, and the 3 Lancia. So I run a total of 9, 10-ish hand traps. I guess you can kind of include this as a hand trap because it's part of the Gamma package. Moving on to the spells. I run 3 B.E.F Zelos. Now, I don't know why this says B.E.F and not B.E.S, but when this card is activated, you can add Boss Rush from your deck to your hand. All B.E.S monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense, and your opponent cannot target them with card effects, and they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Once per turn, you can special summon 1 B.E.S monster from your hand. If a B.E.S monster is normal or special summoned, place 1 counter on it. So B.E.F does a lot for this deck. You can gain attack, protect them, and it gives you an additional summon and an additional counter. If Zelos didn't exist, then I have to flat out say that B.E.S is a trash archetype. Don't run it at all. But at least Zelos makes it not as bad. Because, like, after reading the monsters, I do not like them. Not that I don't like the art or anything, because I like the art of the cards. But it's just the way their effects are. It kind of feels like they're designed bad. Next, I run the 3 Magical Meltdown for Invoked, in addition to the 1 Terraforming and the 1 Set Rotation. God, I want to see that Zelos immediately. I also run 3 Invocation, the 2 Red Ice Fusion, and 1 Boss Rush. I only run 1 Boss Rush because you can search that with Zelos. Honestly, you could cut Boss Rush entirely, because for me, Boss Rush is a very bad card. It's just designed bad. The first effect, the control of this card cannot normal summon or set, so it already stops you from a mechanic. Now, if you stop your opponent from normal or setting, that's different. But you're hurting yourself, which makes no sense. You don't want to hurt yourself, and you don't want to let your opponent gain advantage. That's like one of the cores of Yu-Gi-Oh. So to me, when I play this deck, it kind of feels like I'm trying to like stab myself in the back. Although Boss Rush's second effect it's not quite too bad, but honestly, with the field spell, it's worthless. I only run it because it's searchable. Even if you want to cut Boss Rush entirely, that's perfectly okay. First off, during the end phase of this turn, if that monster on your side of the field that includes B.E.S in its card name, or is named Big Core, is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon from your deck one monster that includes B.E.S or Big Core in its name. But that is when one is destroyed and sent to the grave. Protection. Since Zelos protects, it kind of makes Boss Rush just not even that good. Honestly, I'd probably just take it out for an upstart or something like that because it's just designed bad. Thankfully, it got a good card. Moving on to the extra deck. I run the one Salamangreat Amirage, the one Secure Gardena for the Invoked, one Barricade blocker for the Zealous and Magical Meltdown, and I guess Boss Rush, but why do you want to... Like, once that's gone, I just leave it in grave. Next, I run the IP package with Masquerena, Phoenix, and Unicorn, as well as Avert Anaconda, an Apollosa, and an Axis Code. Now for the fusions, I run the obvious Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. I run 2 Purgatrio, the 2 Mechaba, and the 1 Invoked Kaliga in case it ever comes up and I have the option for it. Well, that's it for this deck portfolio. What do you think of B.S? Do you think it's not as bad as I kind of make it out to be? Do you think there's like I will say it, the field spell, it's good. That's the only card in that deck I even think is good, which kind of disappointed me a little because when I got this deck, like half the times I don't read the effects of cards before I get them. Like sometimes I'm like, I like the artwork of that deck. Let me do a deck profile of it. And sometimes that's just the thought process. B.E.S, I don't like it. It had some cool art, cool name. So I'm like, I'll get it. Only to find out that it was less than a desirable deck. I don't hate the deck. I just don't think it's that great. I'd definitely say it's better than Triments for sure, because Triments just flat out suck. But I definitely wouldn't try competing with this deck, in all honesty. Because even with the Invoked Engine and Dragoon, I still don't think it has enough to go toe-to-toe with top decks. Maybe with the Invoked and Dragoon engines, you can probably play at a more casual level, or maybe semi-competitive, but the deck's just very limited. It needs a lot more support before it's going to be like a tier 2-1 deck. Well, that's going to be all for this deck profile, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video I make. Bye.